time for class. Somebody's alarm is going. So please let us sit up straight. In some comfortable fashion. You could sit Virasana if this is more comfortable to you, and you could sit cross-legged if that is. You could sit on a chair. Make yourself comfortable. This is key at first. If you're going to undergo the process of yoga, you have to be able to be clear enough in your actions and clean enough that they can connect to each other. So sitting the buttocks down thoroughly. Thighs, calves, buttocks. If you keep your attention on that in a hatha kind of way, persistent, don't let it go. Don't think, okay, I've grasped it. Keep sitting yourself down. Sooner or later, you will notice a response. So this is the ha to the ha. So the ha is the first part, the grounding of the hips, and the ta is the response that the body or breath or mind produces. Join your palms. With each exhalation, keep yourself more thoroughly anchored to the seat, to your seat. So now you start connecting your breath to that act. This is the process of yoga. So in this way, pay homage to your practice. Pay homage to that lineage of teachers, including that root teacher, Patanjali. Bow to this practice. Release your hands, raise your head up, open your eyes, and stretch your legs. Okay, now I want to approach back bends by a seemingly indirect route. So you want to put your chair against a wall, chair back, to a wall. Now, if you are not flexible, right, tight hamstrings, you need to support yourself. I'm going to go with a blanket over the back of this thing, higher on the chair back. So you see the chair gets away from the wall just enough that my wrist is supported, just so you see this clearly. Guess what? I'm going to spotlight myself like I'm supposed to. Okay. Now you can see me better. That support at the back of the chair is at the forearm. So you could lever the wrist down and it would give your arm some upward leverage. Maybe my cat will be known on the internet. Okay, and the feet will be apart. And don't drop your head in between. Keep your ears in line. Now, let the knees bend at first and push in this hatha balancing of opposites way. Push into the wall through those forearms and stretch back through the ribs, waist, hips. Then plant the feet on the floor and stretch your legs vertically, and you adjust your position with those feet as your spine gets longer. And if something gets tired, you step your feet in to come up. Now open the length of the waist, resist the hand side of the forearm down so the elbow end is levered up. And if you don't have enough leverage, move the chair out so you get a better fulcrum. And tighten that triceps and stretch back long. Then raise the head, walk the feet in, come up. So Karen, your feet have to go further back to get under those hips. And I see the chair is right at the wristwatch part of the wrist. And yes, even more, Karen, because I want the leverage. Look, Karen, look, go that far down. Don't go to the wristwatch. Then reach your hand down. Reach your fingers down, Karen, not shoulders, not elbows, but right at the wrist. So your arm comes up, Karen, upper arm. Go, watch. This is the see how far from the wall, okay? So look at this line, wrist, elbow, shoulder, okay? So what we don't want is for you to do this, okay? This might look good, but it's missing part of the point. You need to take this wrist down and the arm up, and from that, go back. Do you see how I got longer? Yes, that is better. Use that leverage to open the length of the pose. Do you feel it, Karen? Makes the arm stronger. Okay, it helps keep the shoulder more stable. And I'm hoping your rib cage feels like it's opening more. Draw back, keep levering, don't sink. Okay, now please walk forward, come out. Okay, now you need a strap. And you want to tie that strap. This is going to be difficult with earphones on. I'm likely to knock them off, so I'm going to show you maybe and then explain it. This goes halfway up the arm, halfway up right to the t-shirt sleeve line. And it's loose enough, tight enough. Don't do this yet till you see what I'm about to do with it. So that you can slide it. Well, I'm going to move it. Then it goes over my head and it comes back down to that deltoid line. Okay, now mine right here is too loose. That was too easy. So I tighten it. Repeat so that with my back of my skull, not neck, back of skull, you see there's a little bit of support for that armpit. Now, if your strap is too loose, face the camera, Karen. Karen, your arms need to be straight. So hang on for a sec. Everybody see this clearly. Sorry, I'm going to work. Kneel. So, and I could even right now pull this tighter so my arms really stay parallel. Now, watch from the side again. Those arms are near my ears, not my temples. So that armpit is well open. Chaya, the strap should be a bit higher up the arm, just a bit, so you feel it, not right at the apex of the skull. And Gay and Cliff, I can't see you. I see you from the waist down. Good. The rest of you can come out of your strap. Gay, tighten your strap a little bit if you got anything left in those arms. And Cliff, stretch your elbows. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So do you have a sense of what this is asking of your this part of your back with this strap, this part of your back, thoracic, dorsal. See if you can use this part right here, this level, to take over the work of that strap. Take your strap off. If you're not on blood pressure problems, you work without the strap. If you're having any blood pressure problems, don't go much without the strap. Yes, now resist that wrist forward, the elbow back, and stretch your ribs. Resist just like the chair. Just like the chair is right here. You resist the wrist forward and the elbow back and stretch your ribs. This hand is pushing into something imaginary, and the elbow goes back and the ribs stretch. Come out. Okay. Find a way of getting that strap off. Okay. So, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, thinking the same way. Oh, I need to turn the camera. Thinking similarly. So the hand grounds, the forearm is against an edge that lifts the elbow, and that shoulder blade goes against the back ribs as you come up. You get in this more or less lined up place, lift the elbows, move those ribs back. Front ribs, wake up that armpit chest. Your upper arms wind up behind your ears, and that chest opens. Now your legs straighten, the heels go back, you move your hips back, keep resisting the elbows forward, heels up more, Chaya. Heels up more. Now walk your feet back. Karen, separate your feet to hip width and stretch way back. Get that waist open. Everybody, just like you did on the chair. Just like you did on the chair. Pull with your legs and release, come out. Let go. Okay, now, all right, good. So, all right, you need a brick. You might need a strap, and you need a floor, a flat floor. And first things first, you're gonna comfortably lie flat. Oh, I have to describe something to you. This is like today's theory of back bends. There is this part of our anatomy that's called the deep front line. And it is a fascial connection that, let's say, starts on the sole of the foot and goes all around the heel and up fascially. It's connecting all the muscles of the back of the leg and the hamstring. And your hamstring muscles stop at the buttock bones, which is the bottom of your pelvis. But that fascial connection transfers then from the back of the leg through this pelvic floor to the front spine. So the fascial connection of the back of the leg comes up now and connects to the front spine all the way up. And this is just fascinating, all the way up the front spine, right? Pelvis, lumbars, thoracic, through that diaphragm layer, through behind the heart, up the throat, and it ends at your tongue. So, deep front line, okay? We call it, let's work at the leg end. You lie flat, roll your front thighs toward each other so that back thigh is broad on the floor. Point your knees down and very gradually, if you see me, I'm reaching my legs away from my pelvis, kind of walking that thigh flesh back. And I hope the bones grow into the space. Now, at first, if you stretch back with your toenails on the floor, you can stretch that back leg nicely and the body is just flat. Don't observe this hip joint against the floor and make sure it too is flat, pubis on the floor. Front pelvis long, floating ribs far away from the pubis and on the floor. The abdomen breathes on the floor. Now stretch your legs away from the hips. And see what the response is in the back, in the pelvis. There is some kind of response. Doesn't have to be painful. Okay. Stretch strongly through those toes. Strongly reach your toenails far back. Now, start working with your exhalation. More focused, longer, perhaps deeper, like more volume, but certainly more focus. Exhale, connecting that stretch all the way to the feet. So the hips are no disturbance. Evolve that breath connectivity. And you see how it begins to change the way the leg can stretch. Be hatha about this. Persist. Your first breath doesn't mean much in this picture. The second and third don't mean much. Keep going. Focus. Use this will. Now, turn your toes under so the toe print is on the floor and the heel reaches up to the ceiling. Sole of the foot vertical. Pull your toes toward the knees so you open that toe print strongly. Now straighten the legs, stretching. This is the deep front line part that's on the back thigh. Push it out to the heel, past the heel towards your toes. Keep your pelvis flat. Open that back thigh. Move that back thigh farther and farther away from the pelvis. Use your exhalation. Okay, rest. Then you might want to watch for a second. So having stretched those legs, take your brick, whatever kind of brick, And if you see this, I'm going to put it between my feet. And I'm holding it with the inner heel. Do you see this? And the base joints of the toes. I'll show you this way. It's being held like this. Okay. This means I have to keep track of my feet. Okay. So in this way, you'll stretch your legs back. Then, with your hands on the floor, you will drag the deep front line from the pubis to the sternum. Don't stick your tongue out yet. Stretch your back thigh, pushing the inner heel far away from you. If it keeps falling from between your feet, catch it with the ankles instead of trying to, just get the edge of your foot. And turn your toes way under and push that leg, that hamstring, straight back. And with your elbows, drag the front pelvis forward. Now use that exhalation to perfuse the area with your intelligence. That mind moves where the breath goes, so move that breath. A little more volume, a little more duration, a little more focus. Stretch that back thigh. Be persistent. Observe the transformation in your effort, in your renewed effort, and in the response to that effort. Release, come out. Rest. Are you okay? Is anything good happening? You low back people. Okay, so next thing, you may want to put some padding here, people, if you feel the pubis bone is too bony on the floor. You don't need that brick anymore, or for the time. Okay, so I personally like my arms this way because it helps me keep length here. This is not the final position in the pose, but it's the start. So my arms are here and my head can rest. I'm stretching that leg. Then what? I keep this part of the deep front line stable. One leg bends. So now I'm shortening the hamstring. This part stays neutral. Maybe I even catch my foot. Okay. Now, when I let go of the foot, I have to use the hamstring. So we need both parts of this. Stretch the front thigh. And then with the heel as close in as you can keep it, tighten that hamstring. Pull the deep front line away. Go back down, stretch that leg out, open up that hamstring, bend the other knee. Pure hamstring. Bring the heel as close to the buttock as you can. Keep that pelvis flat on the floor. Then catch your ankle, foot, whatever you can get a hold of, and stretch your front thigh. Keep your pelvis flat on the floor. And then keeping that heel as close to the buttock as possible. Let go of the foot with your hand so your hamstring does the work. Now pull the pelvic, abdominal, chest, deep front line longer. And release, come out. You okay? Okay. So next time, the legs go both together to vertical. They're not coming past, they're staying at vertical. And you keep that deep front line long in the trunk, pelvis down, hamstrings firm. And see if one leg at a time at first, you can lift a thigh off the floor, keeping your pubis down. Then lift that other thigh off the floor, keep the pubis down. Don't rock up. Don't rise up off that pelvis. So even if the result is all you do is take the weight of the thigh off the floor without there being really even an inch of lift, if you can take the weight of your leg with that hamstring, I am happy. Keep that deep front line long, keep your pubis down. Do this twice on each side at least, and study the holding, how annoying or clarifying it is. Be a bit hatha about this. Not like a 2-year-old, don't flail, but be determined. And then come out and rest. Now, you okay? Still okay? Spine's okay. All right. Same thing, except you go through all of it on one leg. Stretch, keep watching. Then the leg comes up. Then the leg stretches out. Then it comes down. You see how I have the toes on the other foot down? They could be either way, okay? Either way. But your pelvis has to be on the floor, okay? Act 1. Bend the right leg fully in, catch that heel, stretch your front thigh, organize your pelvis and front spine. Then you let that foot go to vertical. Your other foot braces to help that pelvis. Watch your breath as you raise the leg. Pull with that back heel out. So what's fascinating about this is the hamstring is working and extending same time. Stretch that leg and out it comes. So that act of extending under tension is fascinating. Side 2. So you can get a lot of information from that. Bend the left leg, bring that heel in, catch the foot, stretching the front thigh. Now relax the breath and abdomen. This is your best chance at keeping the pelvic side of the deep front line soft. Then you come out, Bracing with the straight leg, raise that bent leg way up in the air, and keeping that hamstring under tension, extend the leg, turn that foot straight down to the floor, gay. That heel is rolling out, leg is rolling out, which is telling me your hip is coming up. Stretch the back thigh, and down you come to rest. Yes, I'm right, aren't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, you can see it. If you do it 10,000 times yourself, you can recognize it in the foot of someone else. Will you please do Adho Mukha Svanasana slowly? Your hamstrings might be annoyed by this if it's new to them. So go up carefully and give your hamstrings a chance to normalize. Heels up, whatever you need to do. Yes, keep that extra distance between the hands and feet. It very much helps that low back stay long. Heels up, feet long, legs long, spine long. Use your breathing. Come out. Ginger tea is supposed to help me not cough. Okay. There's the upper body part of this. Let's not work with the legs too much right now. Let's shift to the upper body. Now you remember where we were with that rope around the arms and the arms behind the ears. With a bolster, with those wrists up on the bolster, that's a stiff person start. Okay, you can try that. Your next stage might be to get a chair. So getting a chair allows many stages to be taken, right? So this is about, you might see this as the height of the bolster. But I can go higher, opening the armpit ribs. If you see it, I'm not sinking. That shoulder is lifted and it's back. So the head can rest on the floor. The spine can settle. The hands can walk up that chair. I'd recommend a chair unless there's an injury in the shoulder. Yes, stretch that elbow, tighten the triceps. Keep the elbow form resisting up, shoulder up, and let the spine settle down. Shoulder blade down, and push the chair forward, stretching the ribs. Yeah, I recommend working with a chair. So you really get that dorsal spine to open. The dorsal spine is on the back. It's, if you were a shark, it's where your dorsal fin would be. Yeah, you hold the front legs of the chair, Chaya, but up high. Walk up those front legs. No, not that high. Okay. Yes. Now, that's comfy, right, Chaya? Can you rest your forehead on the floor? Yes. And resist the elbow up in the armpit. And go exploring with your breath. Then you come out. And watch. So with the hands coming up now on top of the chair, I'm going to, the hand is pulling down. The leverage is to lift my chest up. So that leverage is from these shoulders. Okay, palms flat on the chair, legs stretching back, deep front, stretch your elbows, do not bend the elbows. So the work is not done from the arm, it's done from that shoulder pratina. Keep the pubis on the floor. If you can keep your navel on the floor, do so. And lever the sternum up. Yes, higher, Chaya. Using those shoulders, that's yes. Push down with the arm. Pull down from that shoulder blade. So you super duper feel the shoulder blades and those back muscles. Now you breathe openly in the front spine, the deep front line of the abdomen, and rest, then exhaling. So that's one way of thinking about or extending the deep front line. The other way is Bhujangasana, which is stretching the hamstring end of the deep front line as the serpent's long body stretches out on the ground. And the deep front line of the trunk starts opening. Okay, so my focus here is not even a little bit on this spine. My focus is on stretching the back thigh, and my attention is into that front spine. And I'm pulling the front spine up. And it goes as high as it goes, as long as you can get it. It comes up. So you feel it right from the thigh connection, yes, and pull it forward, chest forward and up. Keep bringing, move your hands back, Chaya. Move your hands closer to your hips, that's right. And with the strength of your arms, pull your ribs and front spine forward and up. Okay, so that your abdominal organs are sort of just taking a ride. They aren't getting annoyed or pressurized by this. Release, come out. Is the spine okay? Looks good, Pratima. Is it comfy? Chaya, everybody check in. Is it okay? Iffy. Good. Okay. All right. If we're really going to look at the deep front line, we may have to stick our tongues out at the end. In which case, I'm going to put all this on gallery view, so what shows up on the internet is everybody's tongue sticking out.
Everybody like the class, they're all sticking their tongue out.
Yeah. Okay, but we have to get there yet. We have some time. We have to get there. Will you, I want
Devon,
you to...
Devon, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any connection to tongue, throat, and brain?
Certainly.
Oh,
Certainly.
okay.
The roof of the mouth, the soft palate, way in the back, but farther back than most tongues get to, right? Just, the uvula, that little dangly piece of flesh at the back of your throat. So right around in that zone, behind it, around there, that back of the throat line connects up into the center of the brain.
Okay.
So there are mudras that are done with the tongue to make that connection. Kechari mudra, where depending on your practice, you just fold the tongue back in your mouth and make it flexible enough that it will touch and make contact with the back of the throat. But the other part of this is simhasana, where the tongue stretches very far out. So those are both tongue mudras.
Oh, okay.
And they are mudras that affect, well, Kechari mudra affects one's, is said to make access to all the brain chakras and higher access, higher consciousness. It makes the connection more open.
Okay. Thank you.
So now simhasana opens the throat, and which has to do both with vocal expression, but also the verbal expression of the mind, right? So there's very much a mind connection in both mudras. Simhasana mudra, Kechari mudra, they're very much connected to mind in different ways, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Digressions. Bhujangasana, once more, thinking strictly from hamstrings. Your breath is being directed to those hamstrings persistently. And then when you come up,
back further.
You keep it connected. Exhaling, Bhujangasana. Go all the way up. Don't do anything with your tongue, but see if you can stretch your throat, shoulders back, Shoulders down, shoulder blades in, so that front spine will stretch. Your effort is the front spine stretch, and out you come again. So don't grip the back just to grip the back. Grip the back to open the front. Now, let's see. We're limited in time. So take a strap. Might need to be an 8-foot strap if you are stiff. And you have a bolster. You might even have two, a stack of bolsters.
I'm gonna get 2 more. I'm gonna get a flat one and a
Oops. Sorry. Came unstrapped. You're going to put this one strap, long if necessary, to put you in Baddha Konasana. Now I'm going to show this, and if you consider it an utter impossibility, you can do this in cross legs, but I'll show you Baddha Konasana first. So I'm going to do firm, but not super firm, Baddha Konasana. I'm not going to squeeze the life out of my knees, but I make it secure. You remember how to do this. Strap goes over the thighs and under the feet, over the ankles and thighs, under the feet. Okay. So just as an experiment, when you lie back, can your feet go down?
move it over a bit and see if you can lie down.
Yeah, you may need to dodge knees and furniture. Okay. Feet go to the floor, spine goes to the floor, right? Okay. Good. Sit up. So you've proven something like that shape is possible. So watch, my toes bend open so I can get onto my knees. And I go forward.
See that?
Feet up in the air.
Was he on something?
So I do it by rolling over 2 feet, 1 knee. Don't try to just roll over your feet. Okay. And go forward. Look, Chaya, I go forward. Feet come up, knees go backward, knees back, way back. Move your bolster forward, Chaya. Move your bolster forward. Now leave your knees there and go forward with your trunk.
Go as far forward as you can.
You know what? You're trying to make it so you don't need the bolster. If you could come down flat on the floor without squeezing your sacrum or low back, you should, but I'm giving you a bolster to keep that from happening. Okay. Is anybody okay? Now, do not hurt your back by going too low. We have one more thing to do in this. Okay, are you, please come out. Do a little push-up. Roll over maybe the other knee, the other toes, and sit down and watch. Now this pose is Simhasana, and typically it's done with the legs in Padmasana, but the next best pose is Baddha Konasana because of the openness of this back of the leg to front spine, deep front line connection. That deep front line space is good here in Baddha Konasana. So watch, here's the pose. I'm going to do it. And it'll be recorded for posterity. Have to back up and roll over differently. Okay. So these feet go back, and I'm lengthening that deep front line. Do you see it? I'm just, here, I should tuck my shirt in. And you sort of see the extension. And it comes up into the throat. And I'm coming up tall. And then, as if I am pitching my throat from as far down as I can, I stick it out. Did you see that? You've got to stretch from the root of that deep front line in the pelvis, and you have to pull your chest and throat up. And when you stick your throat out, see if you can feel that stretch from the navel. You got to get much longer chaya in the groins. So feet up, feet up. Yes, now you can lengthen that pelvis more. That's it. Knees wider if you can. Good, Pratima. That pelvic area is getting longer. And come out, rock back, have a seat. Now, Simhasana Mudra is really the tongue part. Simhasana, the posture is all the legs, the spine, and everything. But the mudra is just the tongue part, which could be done, sitting upright or in any pose. When I was in India, Gita had me do it standing there in front of her, because it has to do with my throat, my voice. And that's one of my things for stretching my tongue. But I will tell you, Chaya, I don't think it's just about stretching my tongue muscle. Right? It's not, I think if I, when I feel it just as a tongue stretch, it's like doing the pose the first couple of times. All you feel is the engagement of the muscle, but the deeper connectivity is not felt. Takes a while to be felt. So that mudra with the tongue is not about the tongue. It helps the tongue. It is said to help people with stutters. Now, which means we're going to do that pose in a more comfortable position. So will you kneel in Vajrasana. You could also sit with the heels apart in Virasana if that is more comfortable to you. Sit up tall, put the hands on the knees. Now, you want your spine straight. And when I sit in Virasana, I sit lower so my hand may fit differently. But that spine stays straight. The arm is straight. That shoulder draws back and down because that effort is what levers up this deep front line. Now, Simhasana Mudra. You have to lift up that chest. It's as if your tongue is coming from your navel. So you feel this lifting up. And let go. And do it once more. See if you can haul up. Again, don't hold the breath. This isn't holding the breath. If you don't want to stick your tongue out, then don't. But haul up your chest. Use your breath. Your mouth is open. You can breathe through your mouth. Breathe through your nose or mouth, whatever comes logically. Usually it's the mouth when you're in this strong work. And release, come out. Okay, now you can come out of your kneeling pose. And I didn't put the camera on everybody, so don't worry, you're fine. You're not preserved for posterity. All right, so for the remainder of class, we're gonna work with either a bolster supported or a brick supported Setu Bandha.
Devon.
Yes, ma'am.
While tongue is out, we have to breathe through mouth.
Not have to, but it often happens with me.
Yeah.
When I'm wide open, that throat passage is also open and the air moves through it. Air moves there, and it seems like an extremely natural thing to have both passages open. Now, it's often said that you should, in fact, hiss like a lion.
Yeah.
Which involves the use of the throat and vocal muscles.
But we don't hold the breath. You don't hold it. No, don't hold the breath.
No, I do not. I cannot say if that is a practice of Simhasana Mudra.
Okay.
I do not know.
Okay.
I can't speak to that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I mean, I can't speak to it because I've not done it or experienced it. I cannot say. That's all. I'm not saying no, it's not done. I once had teachers, my Iyengar teachers, I once heard about this thing called Chandra Namaskar, which is the opposite of Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar, sun salutations. Chandra Namaskar, moon salutations. And they were explained to me as a women's practice. And I didn't know. Anyway, I asked two Iyengar senior teachers who happened to be in the same room at the same time. I said, what do you guys know about, moon salutations? And they both said, not going to talk about it. And they got up and they left. So there's some things that different schools of yoga do and other schools don't do. And I don't know if that's one of them, but I just haven't been taught it. So you work thinking with your deep front line, you're prepared, for goodness sakes. Those hamstrings have to work. And as they work, this front spine opens. Keep the abdomen deflated, meaning what's in front of that deep front line is just at rest. It is not, being pushed around by anything. It's just being at rest. Catch those ankles, roll those shoulders under. Find the hamstring element of that line. Wake it up. Roll your shoulders under more. Now you do this for a little while in active mode, Chatushpadasana. Increase the connectivity through the breath. Mostly the exhalation. More depth, more focus. And then you can either come down and switch to a bolster or insert a brick. Bring those shoulders down. Now, depending on the condition of your back, your legs can straighten or stay bent. Shoulders, yeah, back of the neck long. So Pratima, bring those shoulders down to the floor, not just the head. Top shoulder blade touching, like shoulder stand. Now the throat is very dropped, relaxed, soft here. Likewise, the tongue. And if that throat is deeply relaxed, roof of the mouth, back of the throat, all the way to the pit of the throat, which is what we call that place right where the two collarbones and the throat join. There's that little depression there, right where the thyroid gland is, also behind there. So that throat is relaxed all the way down to the pit of the throat. That pit of the throat deflates, drops inward as the chest, inhaling, opens upward. It's like you can't talk when you're inhaling. so that throat region relaxes, retreats, settles deeply on the inhale. Now, just for a minute or two, let's try the opposite mudra just for a bit. Take your tongue, fold it back in your mouth. These are Mr. Iyengar's simple instructions. Fold it back in your mouth and suck on it like a peppermint. Now, that term, sucking like a peppermint, doesn't mean like you keep moving and wiggling the tongue muscle, but you create a kind of pull on the tongue that draws it back, draws the tip of the tongue back. And if the tongue can relax, it will stay folded that way. If the tongue is active, it will kind of slowly or quickly try to unfold. So you see, I hope, even with that tongue folded way, way back there, the throat and pharynx make room for the breath. You have to go much, much farther with the tip of the tongue to actually close off that pharynx. Don't do it. That is a final part of the mudra, but it takes lots of training. Just keep it folded for now and watch what happens. Now, keep your tongue folded, but come out of this Setu Bandha, hips down. Just hold on to the tongue. Come out of pose, lie flat. So what Mr. Iyengar said to me when he gave me this mudra, folding the tongue back, he said, fold the tongue back in your mouth and suck on it like a peppermint. Then he said, there will be saliva. So that may be true for you. But another thing about this mudra is that it's also, I think, called crow mudra. I could easily be wrong there, but it is said that this bird, maybe a crow, when it is thirsty, it folds its tongue back in its mouth so that it does not experience thirst. So the idea is there will be saliva. You swallow your own saliva. You keep that moisture in. it is time. So you may stay put or you may sit up as you wish. One other thing that Mr. Iyengar said about that mudra, Kechari mudra. A few days later, after doing it, I said, should I do this all the time? He said, yes. And I said, in asana, yes. Pranayama, yes. Shavasana, yes. Walking down the street, why not? So I did it all the time. And it was very difficult because I've got this throat. I mean, he was doing it as a response to this vocal tremor. And it was and several days I went back to him. Several days later, I went back to him and I got his attention. And I said, is it very muscular, this mudra? And he just stood there and he looked at me with this deadpan expression on his face. And he said, does this look muscular? And then he did the mudra and his face was completely deadpan relaxed. And he took his tongue out and I said, no, and he walked away. So the idea is it should not be muscular. The fact that it's muscular is what's wrong with my throat, is part of the problem. So I think that's a clue. It's not supposed to be something that you have to really force. But at first it might well be, right? Like with me, the tongue rebels. Okay, that is all.